I'm very pleased that we have a team in Maryland. We really do work together for our constituents. You know, in every decision we make and every action we take, there are generally winners and losers, pluses and minuses. I stopped very briefly for lunch today. That meant I didn't get some work done. And so when it came to closing these dealerships, I was looking around for winners because the losers were very obvious. And a week ago, yesterday, we had a press conference, and I think maybe more cameras than this there out in Frederick, and we were looking for winners here. I couldn't see any winners. These are not dealerships owned by the company, so they aren't saving any overhead. You might argue there's no way they're going to sell more cars with fewer people selling cars. That's just a given. That is not going to happen. But if they were their dealerships, they'd be saving some overhead. Maybe the fewer cars they sold would be offset by the lower overhead. That's not the case here. This costs the companies nothing. Zero. As a matter of fact, these people pay for the right to sell their cars. I think 17 Chrysler dealerships were shut down in our state. 67 employees, more than 1,100 people out of work. They certainly don't benefit. The auto manufacturers haven't benefited. They cannot sell more cars with fewer people selling them. These 1,100 people out of work and all of the secondary jobs, they can no longer take their family out to eat. They can no longer buy better clothes for their kids to go to school. So there are a lot of secondary jobs that are lost as a result of this. And sure as heck, the consumer doesn't benefit here. How in the heck is the consumer going to benefit with less people selling cars? That's less competition. That's going to mean higher prices. It's going to ultimately mean poorer service. So I can't see anything but losers here. I have no idea in a sane society why we want to do something to produce only losers. And I think that's what we have here. Just losers, 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 no winners. And you know, I drafted a bill immediately after we met a week ago today. And I was very happy when a bill came out from the majority side that was did essentially what my bill did. I was an original co-sponsor, signed on immediately to the bill. Thank you very much for your leadership. Happy to be here to support this. Oh yeah. Now let me introduce you to my classmates. Most of them are gone now. It was 17.5 years ago that we came here. Don Manzullo from Michigan. If anybody knows what the effects of this economy on small business, Don Manzullo knows that in his district. Don?
Thank you. I'm Don Manzullo from the 16th District of Illinois. And Mr. Majority Leader, I want to thank you for your leadership, for fighting back. Let me give you the bottom lines of what I'm seeing. The guys at GM and Chrysler are not going to like this, but I'm going to tell it as it is. They're closing down dealerships in cities, and then they're going to sell the dealership to somebody else. This is an absolute, total outrage. We've seen dealers around this country open 85 years, some 90 years, 65 years. Brand loyalty is linked to the dealer. You go to a dealer because you trust a dealer. But what GM and Chrysler want to do now is to bring it down to one dealer. The dealer of their choice. And they're wiping out dealers that are making money, dealers who just a few years ago they asked to invest millions into their dealerships. Dealers who are in hock, millions of dollars are being wiped out with no excuse from General Motors or from Chrysler. And General Motors continues to change the criteria by which to judge these dealers. I have never seen such an outrage take place across America. On the Chrysler facility in my district that makes the Compass, the Patriot, the Caliber, we're down to 1,000 people on it. But I can't think of anything that's more shocking, more disgusting. You know what, guys? What the guys at General Motors may think is good for them, it's not good for America.
Don, now we're going to hear from Jack Fitzgerald. He's known to many people in the Washington area. I'm proud to have him as a constituent. He has a number of dealerships in this area, and he's a very good businessman. But even more important than that, he's been a great community leader, giving back in every way to his community, just as so many other dealers around this country do every day. Jack Fitzgerald.
The case for the dealers and for this bill is very well made, far more eloquently than I can say from what you just heard. But I would like to tell you, on behalf of the hundreds of thousands of men and women that depend on these dealerships for their livelihood. How heartfelt gratitude all of us feel to these men that are standing behind me and to the others in Congress that are going to stand up with them. It's very, very difficult as I stand here to think about the human suffering, and it's not me. I'm okay. Tammy's okay. But we bleed inside for what we see going on around the country. And it does, it chokes you up to think about it, so I'm not going to think about it anymore. But I want them to know how deeply we are grateful to them. And when you write your story, tell your story, speak to all the folks about this, I hope you will point out that this is the difference between America and so much of the world that we live in. We are an imperfect society. We make a lot of mistakes. But this is the very essence of what's good about America. They'll stand up and take on corporate America. They'll argue with the task force, the president's group, because they know the president never intended for any of this to happen. He's about putting people back to work, not about putting people out of work. So, there are lots of dealers, will the dealers raise their hands, please? I want all of us will be happy to talk to you all afternoon about this, and I certainly will be. And you have our trade association executives. They're really experts because they speak for all the dealers everywhere. So there's plenty of information that you can gather from them, and I'll stand here as long as you want to talk to me. After I get out of everybody's way, I'll hang out as long. But the most important thing, if I'm speaking for the dealers, they all want to come up and shake these people's hands, and there's too many of us. So I'll speak for all of them when I tell you how deeply grateful we are for what you're doing for us, for the people, most importantly for the people that depend on us. Because we have to look them in the eye, you know. If we're going to close up, we got to look somebody right in the eye and say, you know, I can't keep this. I don't have anything for you to do. 43 years I've gone without a layoff because I can't bring myself to do that. But a lot of people all across this country this very day are faced with that. So if you get the word out that real potential relief is coming, I'd be grateful to you for that. And I'll hang around and answer questions later. So will all the dealers.